Hi guys, welcome to another video. So today we're just going to go through some mental health in sport, fitness, all that kind of stuff. Got my friend Tommy, he's a rugby league player for Woolston in Warrington. If you've not already, please subscribe to my page, give this video a like and comment how you found it. So we're just going to give a little background of ourselves in the sport and the fitness industry. So Tom, do you want to go first?
Because I suffer with a lot of disabilities, I'm not going to go into them. If you want to know what they are, they're on a previous channel, previous video. But I started playing rugby at high school, which was junior, and then I left high school, played for Warrington Wolves disability team for few months, and then my brother-in-law just said that he wanted to go back into playing proper rugby league, so we both went down to one training session for Woolston, and yeah, I'm now playing rugby, but that's also now got me into the fitness side and going like to the gym, and Danny's helped me out a lot with like all the fitness.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, so I started off playing football, basically just five-a-side started off, and then I went into 7-a-side as a young kid, and then obviously straight through to 11-a-side. So I played from basically when I was 4 up until I was about 16. Loved football, never thought I'd love any other sport. Then obviously through school played all different sports, played for the school team, things like that, and then when I was 16 got signed for Warrington Wolves handball. From there then got asked to play for Liverpool, so I went down and training with them, played for them for a year or two, then played for Cheshire, and then went on to the England camp with Ace. That's where I then found sort of fitness. So there was a coach there, strength and conditioning coach called Kerry, who was probably my main inspiration as to getting into personal training. Struggled with eating, so obviously when I was younger I had an eating disorder, so when I come into them playing sport at quite a high level, I started to really struggle with getting the energy to play, sort of like train 4 or 5 times a week and play at the weekends in a full tournament. So that's why I then had to do a food diary, training, strength training. I was put away from the other lads to do mobility, flexibility work, loads of different things like that, and that's what really got me into health and fitness.
I've asked a few people like if you could send in questions for us to talk about. The first question is, has the pandemic changed your habits such as eating, training? If yes, how? Who wants to go first, me or you?
You go first.
So with my habits such as eating, training, if yes, how? Well, there's days when I just can't be like bothered doing anything, and like I'll be really down, so I'd eat more. But then once I've eaten more, I'm like, actually I don't like what I've done. So then the next day I'll be like doing like nearly a full day's worth of training, so going out for a run, getting a resistance band, like just sweating, like to try and just make myself look better. also because I play rugby, I have to keep up my my fitness and my stamina for when we get, oh yeah, you can go back, so then I'm not the one like falling behind.
Yeah. So for me, it's a bit of both really, because obviously the first lockdown, I think I had 30 kilograms of weights. Tried to buy weights online, there was literally nothing. So for me, my training in the gym is a lot more on the strength side, so like 5x5, 5 sets, 5 reps, a lot of strength work. And obviously coming to 30 kilograms, there wasn't anything I could really do for my strength training. So instead of obviously getting down about it and beating myself up, I moved over to the side of trying to get as lean as I possibly could. So obviously my nutrition changed, I cut my calories right down. I was doing more sort of high intensity work, going on runs, which I don't think I've done since I played football and handball. And for me it's been, since obviously I sliced my hand open, which stopped me playing handball, that since then I've not really done anything more fitness wise. It's all been sort of strength and bodybuilding work and things like that. So for the first sort of half of the pandemic, I sort of went into that way. And then obviously my mum, my sister, my dad, my auntie who lived with me was all off work. So we just then spent more time sort of with them. Still training in the morning, still eating what I could, but having a drink and stuff at night and relaxing and chilling out and just having a bit of time off training. And then obviously this last sort of lockdown we've just had, I opened a PT studio. So obviously I had a lot of kit in there, so I've luckily been able to train in there. So again, I've gone back to my strength training, increased my calories again. I'm back up to the weight I was a year and a half ago. So for me, it's a bit of a mixture of both. Yeah, so next question guys, we've got, have your views changed to the point of wanting to give up sport because of the uncertainty of how things have panned out? Do you want to go first, Tom?
Yeah, so from like the way I am, I'm constantly like, right, I'm going out, I'll get a ball, like all that. But now that Bojo, as I'll call him, like now he said that no one knows what's going to happen when sport's going to be back. Woolston are saying we don't know if like we're going to get any games, but that also means then that we don't get the funding to keep the club open, so only time will tell about like whether or not that we can actually keep going forward, which we want to, because we are one of like the best rugby league teams in Warrington. I'm not saying that because I play for them, but we've been told we are, and we don't want to give up, but only time will tell at the moment.
Yeah, for me, it's a bit different. Obviously, from getting the injury I did, I moved completely over to the sort of fitness side of things, and not actually playing sport, but going over to doing the mobility, the strength, the hypertrophy, all that side, trying to build myself back up. And obviously, getting into that environment, your goals and everything do change. So obviously, from 16 years old, I think I was 57, 58 kilograms, and I'm now sat here at 108 kilograms. So it's a massive difference, obviously, where I was there and where I am now. And obviously, if you look in the middle of that, I was around, say, 85 when I was playing handball. So obviously, my fitness was sky high, because that's all I ever did. So if you put me in a gym and said, do, say, bench press at the heaviest you can, it'd have been nowhere near where I am now. But obviously now, if you put me on a handball court, I've probably blown out my arse in the first 10 minutes. So it's obviously, sport is one thing I do want to get back into. So last year or the year before, I just went playing 7-a-side in Winsford with one of the guys I used to work with, and that just boosted my mood so much. So every Sunday it was an hour's game, maybe 2 if a team had turned up, you jump into another team. And it's just 2 hours of football, which I love. Don't get me wrong, I was knackered, but it's something that I do love. And again, with like playing handball, I do want to go back to that side. But obviously at the minute, I'm just concentrating on sort of working my body, changing my strength, doing all different things that side. But my mindset's always in improving and hitting targets and this and that. So if we do have a target of going playing back sport again, 100% I'll do it.
So another question that we have, or question number 3, is how do they provide the resources for people with mental health issues? So I know, like, for me playing rugby with Warrington Wolves and Woolston, there's a sport mental health charity called State of Mind in Sport, and it's basically harnessing sport and trying to punch out basically like all of like the mental health that people are going through. So if like an athlete like myself was proper feeling bad, we'd reach out to them and they'd message you, talk to you, get in contact with your club and go like, and just try and like offer support the best way they can to make sure that your mental health is getting better.
Yeah, so I think nowadays, in life as well, but in sport, I think it's coming out a lot more. I think there's a lot more out there now that you can reach out to people and they are there to listen to your views. So there's quite a few examples, like the Clark Carlisle Foundation. So obviously Clark Carlisle was an ex-Burnley player who obviously tried to commit suicide and he's now come out of the back of it miles better and he's out there now helping others. Other examples are obviously a famous one is Gary Speed. Obviously didn't want to come out and obviously took the wrong route of that, and that's where I think you sort of got to think, well, if he had that help there, would we still be here now in this situation? But yeah, I think it is a big one coming into sport now. I think there was a young guy recently, I can't remember who he played for, who got released from a club and ended up committing suicide. I think there needs to be more done to help these people out, no matter what your age, whether young or older into your career, coming near the end, or right in the middle. I think all sort of ages need help with. Obviously, if you're getting released at say 16, 17 years old, if your dream was to play football and that's all you've ever wanted to do, then that's going to be a big hit, and obviously you might not have done anything else or thought of another career. So as soon as you come out of that, you can be sat there thinking, well, what do I do now? And obviously middle of your career, an example at the minute is obviously Jesse Lingard's been out of the team for God knows how long. He could have literally put his head in the sand and gone, oh, I give up. Instead he stuck at it, he's hit everything hard. He's now gone to West Ham and he's scoring goals left, right and centre. And then again, coming to the end of your career, if your career's finishing and you think, right, football's my everything, rugby's my everything, tennis is my everything, whatever it is, I've now got to retire. Routes to go down, there's obviously loads of routes, but you might not want to do that, so there obviously needs to be help sort of there as well.
Yeah, and on the back of what Dan said about like someone who like he can't remember the name of, like took their own life and stuff. A guy who I played rugby against, fantastic player for Ireland Rugby League and a lot of the Warrington clubs. He just recently got married and he was a cracking player and suffered with mental health and took his own life basically. And knowing that has just made a lot of the rugby teams now aware of it and yeah, just reaching out.
Yeah, it's like Tom said on that one. It's a bit of a weird one when it's closer to home. So the guy we're talking about, I never was close to sort of in my older years. We grew up on the same street. We used to play football together in the street. But since moved house, never really spoke after that. And it's just, I think it really does hit a lot harder when it is closer to home. Yeah, so next question we've got is, how does mental health affect your play/training? So do you want to go first, Tom?
You can go first.
I'll go. Yeah, so never used to. So obviously playing football, I think I was just that into it that I just wanted to get on that pitch, just wanted to play, I was comfortable on the pitch. Was it in, I'm not sounding big anyway, but I felt like I could score, felt like I could do this, felt like I could do that. And I think that obviously plays a big part on how you do perform. You see Premier League players now going through bad patches, sort of moving to a new club and not hitting it off straight away. I was at the same club for sort of 13, 14 years, got to know all the guys well, knew the coaches. I was just comfortable with who I played for, and I think it goes down to how you want to perform as well. So obviously, like my dad would tell you this a lot, but I did go through stages where I would lose my temper a lot, and he'd go mad because he'd have to pay for red and yellow cards. So it's one of them as well. Some days you do just not have a good game, but obviously from the first whistle, my mindset was on winning and this and that. If the game didn't go well, that's when I'd sort of lose it a bit. But it would only take sort of a goal or a good challenge or this or that to sort of bring me back up to where I wanted to be. The big change for me was when obviously I moved to handball. For me, when I started playing handball, really enjoyed it. I was playing with the guys from my school. We'd all started at the same time, no one had heard of it before. When I then progressed obviously to Liverpool, Cheshire, on the England camp with Ace, that's when it became a lot more difficult to me. There was guys there who've been playing since they were 4 or 5, like I had at football, who in a good way massively opened my eyes to think, wow, like this is different, this is tougher. I remember going to, we were playing all different teams in Cheshire and England, and the games, say we were winning games or we were losing by 1 or we were drawing. I remember we went to Germany in Ochtrup, and I remember playing that first game. I think we got beat about 35-0. And the standard out there was just much better, but I always remember in that game just thinking, I don't want to be on this court now, I don't want to play. And that was sort of a tough one for me to sort of get into with handball, but the more I got into it, the more I then enjoyed playing and wanted to play, and I had sort of the desire I did when I played football. With regards to now on the training, it's a lot different than sport because it's just me, I'm on my own. Obviously sometimes I have a training partner or whatever, but it's my goals, I'm doing what I want to do, where I want to go. And I know if it's like in football, if I don't play well, we can still win. If I don't play well, someone else can score loads of goals. Whereas with my training now, if I don't, say, do them extra 2, 3, 4 reps, if I don't push myself that extra 10 minutes, it's me that is affected. If I then go home and obviously don't eat the right foods, or if I go out drinking every night, then I'm not going to achieve my goals. So I think now as well, I wouldn't say pressure, but I am sort of putting it on myself to achieve these goals, to push forward, to get where I want to be. No one else can do it apart from me.
Like with me playing rugby, it helps me like to get all my anger out, because you take it out on the opposition. So when you're tackling, you just put so much force on him, and anger is a factor of mental health. Like it just badly affects you. But I've been in situations before the game where I've just been so down that when we've been warming up, when there's been kicks, I've dropped every ball because my mind's not focused. And it got to one point where my coach called me out in front of the whole team. And I said, what are you doing? He was like, I just want you to speak to the whole team. And he said, what's the matter? And I turned around to him, I was like, I'm just in a really bad place at the moment. And they all just said, look, if you don't perform well today, you'll perform well next week. It's just that encouragement. And each week my performance just got better and better and better. But it's if you don't take that anger out, your mental health will like start building. Like I had counselling when I was at college, and the counsellor turned around and said, so you have a pot of steaming water, you put a lid on it, it's just going to bubble, keep going. So the minute where the lid's going to fly off and the water's going to like bubble over basically, and that's literally what mental health is like. You're just letting everything get on top of each other.
Yeah, I completely understand that. It's like, with me, going back to say like football, I never did well with compliments from other people, because in my head I could always do better. So it was like someone would say, oh, you played really well today, man of match, this and that. And I'll go back to that chance I missed in the first half. And that's what will play, that's my mentally wise, that's what played on my mind. So I can score a hat-trick in a game, we can win 3-0. But if I've been through on goal and missed an opportunity, that's what then played on my mind. So with me, it was more of I hated losing. I just want constantly to win. And that can go both ways. It's really good, but it's also really bad. So it was like, my mum used to say she hated Sundays because we'd play football. We'd wake up in the morning, obviously everything would be fine. We'd go and play football, and if we lost, or if I had a bad game, or if I got a red card or whatever, me and my dad either wouldn't speak or we'd argue or whatever, and my mum hated it. It was just an atmosphere on a Sunday. But then obviously on the other side, some Sundays it was the best thing ever, because we'd won, we'd had a great game, and this and that. But then again, like on the side of what Tom was saying, like you get that anger sometimes, and for me it would affect my game, as in I'd make a challenge when maybe I shouldn't have, or I'd make a challenge too reckless or too hard or whatever, and that's where then obviously you need to sort of pick yourself up in them anger times and think, right, instead of doing a challenge, I'm just going to smack this ball as hard as I can as soon as, like, when I shoot. And sometimes that can release the anger. You might miss, you might go whatever, but I've been in games before where first half I've done nothing, I've been angry with myself, come on the second half and I've scored 3-4 goals, and it's one of them. It's like, for me, it was, if I put a good ball through and someone had scored, that'd pick me up. I'd prefer that to scoring. But it's just sort of releasing that anger in the right way. It's like, I've got a client, obviously that I train in hard labour, and it's, his anger is, we'll go on the punch bag, we'll put heavy weight on the bar and say, right, 6 reps on this, max weight. And he'll get to 4, he'll go, I can't do it. It's like, you can do it, and that's where his anger comes out. Feels miles better after every session. Everybody's different. Some people do yoga, Pilates, whatever, just to relax the mind rather than getting that anger in there. But again, like I say, everyone's different, and it's just finding your way of either releasing that anger in the right way or toning it down.
Like what Dan was saying about like bad challenges, I got red carded. It is bad, but I got red carded for back chatting the ref on a tackle that I did. The guy ran at me and I just like dump tackled him. I shouldn't have done it because it can like break the neck, but I did it because I was that angry that I just needed to take it out on someone, and the ref the ref sort of gave them a penalty, and I questioned him as to why, and then just got into a massive argument, and I squared up to the ref and then just got red carded because I was that angry. I squared up to the ref.
Yeah, it's that, like you say, it's that bit where you sort of lose it. And it's like, there's been times before where I've made a challenge and I might get a yellow or a red card, and my dad wasn't annoyed at me, my coach wasn't annoyed. It's because I've gone to make that challenge. I've not been angry, I've just made a challenge and been sent off. It's when you sort of make a challenge a bit of a rash one, nothing's wrong there, but then you kick the ball away, or you, like Tom said, argue with the ref. That's where that needs to sort of cut back, because you can make a challenge and not get carded. The game carries on, you stay on the pitch and you score and you win the game, or you can kick the ball away and get sent off. You can argue with the ref and get sent off, and that's your game done then. And it's not only in sport, it's not only you that then is affected, it's the team are down, like football, you're down to 10 men. And everyone that's played football knows if you go down to 10 men, it feels like there's 4 against 20. Like there's a massive space that you've got to cover, and you get knackered out. And more than likely, the other team is gonna sort of gain more possession and win the game. But like I say, it's controlling that anger to think, right, no, I won't do that. Getting back in the game and using that sort of adrenaline and push and anger to do something positive with it, like score a goal or something like that, and it will just completely change your mindset.
Question 5 is, what can cause athletes of a professional level and amateur level to suffer with mental health? Well, from a professional level, there's a United left back called Alex Telles, Brazilian player. He's good, isn't he? And he had one bad game, and people jumped on social media to slate him and slate his family because from where they come from, which is Brazil. And he came from a really poor side of Brazil when he was a kid, and people were slating like his culture, his country, his family, and himself for one bad performance. And people doing that can affect your mental health because you don't think you're good enough.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I think it's been in the news a lot sort of recently about kicking racism out of football, obviously taking the knee and things like that. And again, going back to United, we had obviously the Marshall, Twanzebe, they got sort of racially abused. You've had obviously Anton Ferdinand, he's been involved with it all and things like that. I think it does have a massive impact on your game. Obviously, I've seen a lot of people out there say, oh, just ignore it. And when you're getting, say, 100 tweets a day, calling your names, saying you this, saying you that, no matter how you feel you've played, you're just gonna feel crap about yourself. Yeah. I get, like, don't get me wrong, I'm obsessed with football. I love Man United. Like, I'm no words to say about it, but not one part of me would go that deep to be that annoyed at someone for the way they've played. And it's like with Twanzebe, if he wasn't on the pitch against PSG, we'd have lost that game. But then because he's had a couple of bad games, they're now completely turned on him. Obviously that's gone obviously onto the racism side, but it's the fact of like getting into sort of bad form. It's not easy coming out of that. So it can massively affect every sort of way you play, your training, just everything involved in it. Yeah, so the next question we've got is, do different sports impact your mental health in different ways? I think this would be a pretty quick one. Well, going back to that question, I think it's more of what sport you enjoy, what sport you would prefer to play. Don't get me wrong, like I love most sports, I've played most sports, I've played most sports at quite high levels, but if you put me on a football pitch compared to a badminton court, I wouldn't be too fussed with like playing badminton. But with football, I'm so obsessed with it and I love it so much that I would think differently going into a game. When I was in uni, I got asked to play for different teams. I played for the netball team, volleyball team. When we was playing, don't play netball, couldn't play that. When we was playing volleyball, it was a lot different for me. I'd never really played it before. I enjoyed it, but I wasn't that interested or into it. Obviously, I want to win everything I do, so I wanted to win, but it just didn't have the same feeling as football and handball did.
Yeah, like I look at it like you things like boxing, you like rugby, all like the high intensity games or sports. You think that that can help you, because it can make you focus more on the sport that you're doing, and that will then put your mental health to one side. So you'll be feeling good about yourself when you're playing, but then when you finish, it'll drop back down. So things like boxing, rugby, football, things like that can help you in a good way, and that's why sport is promoted a lot. Like even now, like during the pandemic, people are like posting videos of fitness, like you started your YouTube channel on fitness, to get those people up and moving to help improve their mental health. Like we're in a group chat, aren't we, for work, and mostly everyone on there is just up and active, and we're all sending screenshots of like how many miles we've run a day and things like that, aren't we?
Yeah, I think that's a good thing as well, obviously having people around you, because there's, say, like I'm quite lucky in this lockdown. I've got all my family at home. When obviously moved back in with mum and dad, there's a lot of us there. No matter what time I go home, there's people there I can talk to, this and that. I think if I still lived on my own, I think I would have suffered a lot more, wouldn't have that interaction. I like talking, I like speaking to people, I like knowing what people have done, things like that. And I think it's that side of it as well. We're going back to sort of the sports side, and I think like Tom was saying, like the high impact sports, high intensity sports, I think that can go one of two ways as well. It's obviously, you can release your aggression on that, you can release your adrenaline, but you've got to do it in the right way. Yeah. If you go back to badminton, there's no contact, you're just on your side of the court. The only adrenaline you've got is to whack it as hard as you can. But again, that's not the best thing to do in that sport. Obviously sometimes it is, but it's how you can release it in your sport in the right way. And like Tom said, I remember waking up on Saturday, Sunday morning, whenever the game was, and sometimes we'd even drive down to the pitch and then get told it's cancelled. I remember that day I was moody as anything. I just didn't want anything, because that football in the morning just set me up. I'd wait all week for it. We train on Tuesday and a Thursday, so I've got one day off to train, one day off to train, one day off, and then we play. So I sort of had that fixed. So when a game was cancelled, I just hated every second of it. So guys, next question we've got is, how does getting dropped from a team or not being picked for a team affect your mental health? Do you want to go first?
You can.
Yeah. So, I don't think there's much worse when you're playing as not playing. I was quite lucky, obviously, when I played football, that I was the captain. So 99% of the time I was in the first team, I did get picked. Then coming into sort of handball, I was a rookie coming up, and there was a lot of guys who were there and I was there. So mentally wise, that pushed me to want to get in that team, want to push forward, without sounding horrible, make someone else not get in the team. So it did drive me quite a lot. But I always remember a time when I think it was, I would say 3 times, I went to Cheshire trials for handball, and I just felt like I'd done everything I could. I was scoring, I was doing everything right. There was just one part of my game that I just couldn't hit right, and all 3 times I was dropped. I wasn't picked for the game. Best mate Liam, he was there every time, got in the team, and again that's another thing that can affect you when you sort of both come up together, and then one goes that way and one's sort of stalling. So that did affect me that way, but then obviously just give me the drive to push again. So the next time come, I can't remember where it was, I think it was Northgate Arena, or I think we went to Chester, and it was trials again, and just everything I did just went right. Got picked for the team, and then went to tournament, and I think I just had like the worst games of my life. which again then affects you because you're then thinking, right, well, I'm not going to get picked next time. I've been picked, they've given me this opportunity, and then I've sort of fell at the last hurdle.
Yeah, like Dan said, it does put you like really down. I remember we had this massive tough game coming up, and I trained for that so hard, and there was one guy who just didn't train at all, never turned up training. I got dropped for him, and that just made me feel so down, knowing that they dropped me for a guy worse than me basically. And I questioned him, and they went, oh, because we're giving him playing time. And I went, the thing is though, if you want to win, you need to put those that turn up to training. And I literally was in a mood for like nearly a week, because I was like, was there something that I did wrong in training that I didn't get picked for? Was it this, was it that? And that was building on my mind. But it happens, and you know, they know who they want to play, they know who they don't.
Yeah, see that's going on quite like a selfish point of view here. That's one thing that I think is quite tough, where you say if you don't turn up to training, you don't play. But we had some players who were absolutely unbelievable. Would be in your first team every week, but they didn't come to training. And there's quite a few times where they didn't turn up to training, they played on a Sunday, and there's guys there who've been to every single training session who couldn't get a game. So it is one of them. It's quite tough, because you've got to think of, you want to win the game, but then you've got that side of people who they turn up every week. But obviously, more thinking about it now, you think, oh, I really do feel sorry for them guys and how they was treated in that way. But obviously at the time, I was like, oh yeah, I completely understand, yeah, we're going to win. And you don't think about the guys who are stood on the sideline for 90 minutes every week, like freezing and not getting a game, or coming on for the last 5 minutes. But when you sort of 12, 13, 14, 15, all you want to do is play football and you want to win. So as long as you're on that pitch, that's all you really care about. Yes, the next question we've got is, how does your opposition / competition affect your mental health? I don't know about sort of mental health, but mentally going into a game, say if you've got, my Sunday league team that I played for was then playing Man United, you're obviously going to think in that game, well, this is Man United, we're going to lose, or we're not going to win, or we're going to have a tough game, whatever your mindset, it can massively affect the way you play. So obviously if you think, oh, we're going to lose, well then you will, because straight away you've got in your head, we're not going to win. Whereas if you think, I'm going to give this my all, no matter what, I'm just going to push as hard as I can, and you lose, you're going to feel completely different, because you give all you can. Like I say, in sport, there's 11, 12, 13 players on a pitch, depending on your sport. You could have 10 players who have a bad game, one who has a good game, or you can have 11 players who have an unbelievable game. And obviously, an amateur playing a professional team, it is quite tough. I remember we went to Carrington Park, and one of the lads' dads booked a training session there for us. And I can't remember what team it was. I don't know if it was an academy team from United or whoever it was, but they was training. They offered us a game at the end, and obviously for us it was just, we were playing, so we just played them. I think it ended up something like 5-1, 5-2 to them. And then after the game, when we realised who they were, I think we all sort of thought, wow, we've done well against them. But I think obviously if you'd have said at the start, this is a United Academy team, mentally you would stress a bit more and think, wow, we're going to struggle here. But because we just thought it was a random team, we just went out there and played like we normally do. Sort of going into sort of me now doing my training and in the gym and this and that, unless you're, well, even when you're competing, it's not good to look at opposition, competition, things like that, because then you'll start stressing. you've just got to become the best version of you and put that out there. And if you lose, you lose, but you give it your all. If you've not given it your all, then that's your own fault. So just push, obviously, as hard as you can.
Yeah. Going on from what Danny said, like, because I'm playing amateur. So if I were to, like, if Woolston were to step up at Halliwell Jones and play Warrington Wolves, we'd all be nervous or be shaking and things like that, because we want to play well, but knowing that we're against a professional side, that's going to be in our minds.
Yeah.
And that being on your mind is going to then cause loads of trouble for you on the pitch. Your decision making, for one, your handling of, like, whatever, like, it could be football, rugby ball, whatever, that'll be bad as well. So that will have a negative impact also of how you play, and have a negative impact on your mental state.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so next one, how does your preparation affect the way you perform? And then you've got amateur/professional. So do you want to go first?
Yeah, so with the way us at Woolston perform, so we all get into a group, and then the coaches go, well, this is what you did at the weekend, this is what you did do on the weekend, what you did do well at the weekend. We're going to focus on that, and then go, right, we're playing this team. If they're a good team, they'll make the training session hard, because they want the best out of you, like, to beat the better team. But if you didn't do something well and you were playing, like, if you're top of the league and the team that we were playing were bottom of the league, we wouldn't put that much effort into the training, because you know, and I know this sounds selfish, but you know you kind of have an advantage over them.
Yeah, I get that, and I've had that before with football. There was a team in the league, and I remember everyone was miles ahead of them, and we were top of the league, and I remember we knew we had them on a Sunday, and going back to what Tom said, I think we sort of went too easy into the game, and I remember we went 1-0 down, and everyone just sort of looked at each other and was like, wow, like, we're 1-0 down there. And in the end, we did win. I think we won the game like 9-1, 9-2, but it was that sort of first coming out of the blocks that, yeah, we went 1-0 down. That's because we wasn't mentally focused on the game, we wasn't into the game, because we all thought in our heads, this would be a doddle, this game, and straight away it was too relaxed coming out of the blocks. Going back to the question, obviously you've been in different levels of sport. Starting off with football, Sunday morning I'd get up, Mum would make me a bacon butty, and then I'd go and play. There was no sort of real preparation. When I trained, obviously, was in school all day, went home, watched TV for a bit, went and trained. Going on to then, like, obviously England handball, an example would be when we went to Aarhus in Denmark on a training camp, and that was, everything was regimented. We was up at a certain time, we had to be at breakfast at a certain time, we had to wear, so we had a tracksuit, shorts, red top and white top, and obviously the captain would say, right, red tops tomorrow. So at breakfast you had to wear certain attire. Anyone that didn't, not listened, whatever, would get punishment. So it was all sort of, you had to do this and you had to do that, and it does make your mindset work a lot more. So every day, urine samples, so we'd leave a urine sample outside our door, they'd get checked, right, you're not drinking enough water, you're not this, you're not that, we'd have to then do that. So there was no sort of getting around anything. Halfway through the game, so in handball, it's not like football, if you get subbed off you can go back on, so it's constant just chopping and changing. Sometimes when you come off, you get a prick in your finger, they check the blood sugar levels, your salts and things like that. Again, you could tell if you've not had the right nutrients, the right this, the right that. every training session we had on a Friday with strength and conditioning, we had physios there, we did prehab, we did mobility, we did all different types of training. We did caliper testing, we did everything like that. So obviously on that camp, you was up at this time, you were in bed at that time, and the first sort of couple of days, you're chatting away at night and this and that, and then you soon realise, right, I need to go to bed now. Because it's like you'd wake up at 6 and you're out for a run. You was having an ice bath. Again with the foods, where I remember sitting down the first day and looking at the food and thinking, oh my God, I cannot eat this. I used to be quite fussy with food, so it's just getting into that routine and then going back to sort of playing for an amateur and playing like a professional. If them two play each other, the professional has had so much more preparation and this and that, just because there's more money involved and it's easier for you to do that. Amateurs, say in football, they've got jobs. Professional, that is their job. So it's going through sort of that route as well. Right guys, that's it for the sport and mental health video for you guys. What we're going to do is we're going to now go into more mental health and stuff in mine and Tom's lives, what we've gone through, how we've overcome it and things like that. So what we'll do is we'll post this one as part 1 and then the next video will be part 2.
And at the bottom we're going to put both of our YouTube channels, so I'll be putting Danny's and Danny will be putting mine. So just go on there and have a look for part 2, and we just hope that our stories are then able to help you along your like whatever you're going through.
Yeah, definitely, and obviously if you like the video, give it a like, and in the comments if you've got any questions, I'm sure me and Tom will be doing more videos. If you've got any questions that you want answering, any videos you want to see, just drop it in the comments below, and I'm sure we can get it done.
Yeah.